of them is Steve Olson, as many of you know from WSO. I love you, Steve. And during the course of our conversation, it was truly amazing because so many people have asked me, and I'm going to address these. In fact, I'll bring some of these questions up now, where people are asking about where Jesus falls into this. So let me first read a few comments, and then I'll get to the discussion that I had with Steve. So I am confused. Jesus wasn't a good guy? Was Jesus one of the Anunnaki, and God didn't create us? Do you realize what you are telling everyone, that for thousands of years have believed in Jesus Christ and God as our Savior? You really need to make things more clear, because I am aware of the Anunnaki story, but I believe that they changed us into slaves, not made us. As far as I am concerned, Jesus Christ is my Savior and God my Creator, and nothing will ever change that, because I have had so many experiences that proves that, or proves it. So thank you for the comment, and that's from Loretta Player. So Loretta, yes, I realize exactly what I'm saying, and I am not giving you an opinion about who Christ is in this scenario, but I will tell you precisely regarding the ancient scriptures who he is. Now, if you've read about the Anunnaki and you are aware, then you would be having just a personal opinion, as you said, that you didn't think that they made us, when clearly there are many, many texts, and I mean many, that refer to all of the details regarding making us. Now, with that said, I'm going to get into a little bit more detail right now about why that is the case, and why all of archaeological studies today prove that to be the case. That with regards to all of archaeological evidence that we have today, out of nowhere came civilization on this planet. Out of nowhere. So when we go back and we find bones and we find remnant that we can date beyond the times of ancient scriptures, that somewhere along the path, civilization just bloomed. It just came out of nowhere, that there was no evolution, that we didn't evolve from this ape man into this man that we are today, that has intellect and the ability to reason. And with that also comes massive temples and buildings. This was clearly an intelligence that came here based on all archaeological evidence, everything. Things written in stone, things built in stone, the only things that withstand the ages, that withstand the elements, is stone. So with that said, you can research and do your own research, and you'll find out that mankind, that civilized mankind, came out of nowhere. It just happened. And so that matches the scripture's description of making man. Now also the Anunnaki and the stories of Anu, when people ask whether Anu is the father that I refer to, no, Anu is not the father. The father, you could refer to Anu as being the father of those two sons, but Anu is not the creator of the universe, or he wouldn't have had to battle for his kingship with another king that was on Nibiru and lose his testicles in the fight by them being bitten off. So these are all texts. So when people are upset about what I'm telling you, I'm simply explaining to you what the ancient cuneiform texts state, and that they are not just statements about what is written, but they are literally direct references, because they are articulating exactly what the biblical references to these times, such as Noah and such as Sodom and Gomorrah. So the different names of these kings and the different names of the people are changed because the Hebrews always gave someone a Hebrew name so they would understand who they were. That's why the names have meaning. Today, we just hand people a name and call them Susie, and they're Susie. There isn't a reason why they're Susie. They're just Susie. We have become less advanced in our thinking, yet we believe that we are more advanced, which is a true shame. So the return of the Son of Man is the return of the awakening to the original man that knows these truths, and that's what you're experiencing today with the crack in the magnetosphere and the return to Christ, because as Christ explains throughout the entire gospel, he explains multiple times that you are also a son and that he wants you to have exactly what he has. Now, Christ is also spoken of being in the line of the priestly Melchizedek. So, or in Hebrew, Melquisedeque. So, with that said, Melchizedek in the ancient scriptures is referred to in the likes of who I referred to as this emissary from the creator of all, who is GALSU. And the appearance described is of a little childlike person, which is precisely the description of Melchizedek. That he had the intellect of a very intellectual man, but yet was in the form of a child. Now let's recall that Jesus said that you will be led by a little child. So ultimately, this spirit of Melchizedek is the spirit of Christ, and that's who Jesus was. So even in the Anunnaki texts, that the creator of all sends this emissary, and this emissary comes in the form of Melchizedek. So understand this. I'm not saying that Jesus didn't come and have a profound message. He did. He had the message, the only message. How you escape from this prison that unbeknownst to them they were actually building. But once they had built it, then it became their responsibility to maintain it. Just like we do with our own problems when we cause mayhem. Now we must maintain this mayhem. We must try to make the appearance that you were justified in the mayhem, rather than having a humble and a contrite heart and dropping it and just going, you know, I was wrong, and let it go away. Right? We have this problem. Lies, I have continuously said, are the only things that need propping up. The truth doesn't need any help. Christians, if you believe that you need to argue on behalf of God, understand that you don't believe in him. Because if you believed in him, that means that you know him. And if you know him, you know he doesn't need your defense. You have relegated God to a tiny little option in a box that you open up and you call out from time to time and go, that's my God. That's precisely why you worship a Jesus on a cross. That's precisely why you are willing to worship a cross and use it as a symbol when the word tells you have no graven images. Because it will always reduce, it will always diminish the purpose of God. Any graven image, including the cross and Christ, will diminish what he did, and will also give you the impression that that over there, that him dying on that cross, is the thing that freed you, and then you can listen to your doctrines and make sense of them in your own minds, that says that once saved, always saved. Well, once saved, always saved doesn't apply, or there wouldn't have been warnings and revelations about the elect being deceived, because if they were already saved, then what concern would there be? Because the reality is, you that believe that you live by faith alone, this is truth and a lie. So when Christians have come to me and said, how can you say that you believe in the Bible when you say it has lies, and if it has lies, then all of it is lies? This isn't the truth. Because the lie isn't what's written. The lie is what you've been told and how to understand it. That when they're speaking of in the book of John about Christ being used to build a religion, you're seeing it as building the Church of Christ, when it was the intention of the Romans and the Pharisees to build a religion around the death of Jesus that they could then bring the people into their system, into a false religion. It